since I started as a user researcher at Younited, and then my position evolved as a head of insights. So I'm going to present to you one way that we have to collect and leverage insights without doing any research. When I say research, I mean the traditional term of research, of course, because this is still research. But know that we have many other ways, and you might have many other ways to collect insights without asking your customers. So here we go. So a bit of context about me. So I'm looking at the presentation, so you can see that I'm not looking at you guys, but I have double screen. So I started my working experience at Air France. So I was in a team of traditional research, so market research, product research. But when we say product research for Air France, it's not product research like at Younited. It was like testing mock-ups of planes, mock-up of bed bunks, testing the new meal trays, for example. So it was really like the concrete products that we were testing. So it was really fun. We had lots of projects that we ran with our customers, and the customers were always super happy to participate. It was always super easy to have 20, 25 customers to join us to test the mockups, because of course it's so fun to test an airplane mockup. And I also worked on projects on brand strategy. So talking about it with Roxane just before you guys arrived, but I worked on the brand positioning of the low-cost offer of Air France, so HOP. I also worked on the repositioning of June, which was the other low cost, but for the long carrier. So very traditional research, super easy to recruit customers, super easy to engage them with our topics as well. And then after 2 years at Air France, I started working at Havas Sports. So also a lot of market research, but based on what the fans want. So I worked on big user segmentations, for example, for the UEFA. I'm not sure I'm saying it right. I worked on a fan segmentation, so football fan segmentation, on, I think it was like 15 markets or something across the world, to create a CRM loyalty program. So it was super interesting. And as in my past experience at Air France, it was super easy to recruit and have feedbacks and have detailed feedbacks on the experience of the fans, what they want, what they expect. So very easy. And then I moved to the digital world, I would say. So I started working at Publicis Sapient, which is a tech company that works for big clients. And on my side, I worked for McDonald's and Nissan. So I was writing the tracking plans, analyzing the data, working with the UX design team to enhance the experience. So here I was not confronted with the customer's statistical and analytical perspective of my job, which I think is super important to explore when you're a user researcher. But I wanted to be in touch with our customers, and I was a bit frustrated by the analytics that never provide the why. And I think if you guys use these tools such as Google Analytics, Adobe Analytics, and all of these tools, you know that you see some really weird behavior sometimes, but you really need to know why. So I joined Younited, as I say, 1 year and a half ago. And I started as a user researcher, and then I evolved to this new position. And this was the first time that I was confronted to a big problem that I believe many user researchers have. is that it's super hard to recruit our customers. It's super hard to engage them with our topics because what Younited does, it's so we are a fintech company. We are specialized in consumer loans. So basically, we're asking users how they spend their money, how they interact with their loan provider, which is not like the sexiest topic ever for a customer. So the problems started here because we had issues, we had no shows, a lot of no shows. So users that said yes, I'm going to come, and then when you're connected to the Zoom meeting, they then never show up. We had like, when I arrived at Younited, I think we had like 70% of no show on all our research. So it's a big rate of no show. So spending money, spending time, trying to run research and not being able to be super impactful because we couldn't meet the deadlines and we couldn't run the research in short timings. So this is what I'm going to present today. So what happens when you're a user researcher, but nobody wants to talk to you? So this was my starting point at Younited. I needed to find some ways to run research and collect insights without having all of the issues that I had trying to recruit users and talk to them directly. So one way to do it is to conduct some analytics analysis, which is fine, but as I said before, you never have the why. And at Younited, we are running research at a very exploratory level. So we are always asking why. So having only analytics doesn't fit our need. So we need to have something more. So the first thing that were a problem, and I think that it's always a problem for all of the user researcher, is that you need to prove your value when you start running research, especially when you're like me at a fintech company, for example. We are in super delivery mode. When I started at Younited, it's changing because we are evolving as a company. But when I started, it was very delivery oriented. So running discovery, I was like an artist for most of my colleagues. So this is when you need to run research on key topics, but you don't have budget, you don't have resources. So what do? And to gather more budget, you need to prove the value of what you do. So it's more like a vicious circle because you're always looking to prove value, but you don't have the budget to do so. So nobody wants to give you any budget because you don't have impact. So you keep on running and running. So you start looking at cheap options. And basically, you start looking at what you have and what you can leverage without any additional budget. The next problem that I had, and I think it's also a problem that many user researchers have, is that the ratio PM to UR is 20:1. So you have a very small team, and we had increasing demands from our stakeholders internally. But we are still a very small team because we are two for 20 PMs, and I'm not counting all of the head of and all of the different stakeholders in the BUs. So you know that as a researcher, you cannot meet everyone's need with a traditional process of research because you know that you don't have the time. Effectively, you only have like 24 hours in a day, and not all of your 24 hours are made for working. So even if you have like, I don't know, 12-hour span of working on a day, you cannot meet everyone's needs. And also, there's always this problem of impact because you are always late on delivering the reports on the key topics. So the decisions have already been taken. So you are late at the battle, as we say in French. I don't know if it's correct in English, but you lack impact because you lack resources, because you have too many topics that you need to handle with only a process of research that is sometimes very time consuming. So you need to find a way to uncover ideally by doing so, you can also onboard your stakeholder with you so that they also have access to the raw data and the raw insights. And the third...
And Lise, just to be clear, when you talk about stakeholders, what type of stakeholders are you talking about for you as a researcher?
So at Younited, for me, it's mostly PMs, so product managers and product specialists. We also have business analysts in the BUs. So we are present in 5 countries across Europe. So we have business analysts in every unit that we are live. So yeah, but mostly PMs.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. So the third problem that we had is that sometimes you want to reach out to your customers to tackle a very specific issue that you observed that they have, or you heard that they have, because you've done a past research and they said that this is really an issue for me, but only one person said that because it was not the topic. So you think like, okay, I'm going to deep dive on this. But when you get them on the phone, they are no longer facing this issue. So they don't really remember what the problem was and how it made them feel, and how important for them it was. So you lost the momentum because you cannot track them when they face their issue, and when it's past and the problem is solved, they are no longer interested in sharing this in detail. So for all of these reasons, we started looking at what we call the dual listening. So basically, it's shadowing our customer success calls. So we started doing this last year, and I'm going to explain really what we did in details. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions.
Yeah, we actually had a question from Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas is asking, he has a feeling that if you maybe can go back on the previous slide.
Yes.
Cool, thank you. Thomas, I guess you are talking about the point number 3. Tell me if I'm right. And he has the feeling that it's related to prioritization. I'm talking about the issue to be not able to address all needs.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm not sure it's related to number 3.
Thomas, do you want to take the mic and come with us? I try to find you here. Oh, okay. Okay, so it was related to point number 2. So yeah.
So sorry. Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. So it's related to point number 2 about the ratio, having like 20 PM for one researcher, and it's a question about prioritization. Like, is there an issue about prioritization, prioritizing? Sorry, the need for user research, I guess.
Yeah. So that was an issue. Actually, it was not on prioritization. So the hardest word I think we found. So it wasn't really a topic for your team, more than a topic for the PM team, because when I started at Younited, the PM was the product team was not structured as well as it is now. So everything was top priority because everyone was pushing their topics. And since there were no rationale behind, I mean, there were sometimes, of course, because we have very good PMs and they know their topics, but sometimes, I mean, most of the time there was no discovery process. So discovery, as you know, it's a way to prioritize your topics. So everything was pushing and everything was pushed to the UR team. But I would say, meet my cats. I would say that even now, as we have this strong process, we are super well organized today. You still, I mean, you can't meet the needs of all of your stakeholders. when you are in a company of 600 people with 20 more PM, it's impossible because everyone needs to run discovery and everyone needs UR at some level.
Right.
So, and we know that that's always an issue because you have like, I think the ratio of the classical ratio of PM to designer, I think it's 2 PMs for one designer. And I think if you take it to UR, the classic ratio is 5 PMs to 1 user researcher.
Right. Okay, cool. Thanks. And we have 2 questions, one from Koi, the other one from Irina, which are pretty related one to each other. Koi is wondering if the PM helps you in the user research. Are they taking part of the user research? And Irina, who doesn't have any user researcher in the organization, is asking about the difference between a user researcher who does research vs a product manager who does discovery. And so, are some product managers doing discovery in your organization, and how does that work actually in that process? Yeah.
Yes, so it's two very good questions. So when I started, the PMs were not running any discovery. They were super delivery focused, as I said, and I'm working in it's a fintech, but it's still a financial institution. So, we are very statistical driven. It's really figures. So proving the value of user research was a big challenge for me when I started. And we are currently operating a cultural shift, which is that we are shifting from a delivery culture to a discovery culture, because we have proven that pushing every topics in delivery is not the right way to do it, and it's not valuable for the company. Business-wise, resource-wise, I mean, I'm not learning anything new, I believe, to you guys. So today, we onboard the PM more and more on the user research, on the discovery, and not all discovery or user research, actually. So today, the PMs are starting to do it. But when we started this project, it was not the case. And actually, one of the ways that we ramp up this project was by onboarding our stakeholders.
Right, understood. Cool, thank you. I hope it answered your question, Corinne.
Okay, so moving on to the dual listening project with Adele. So as I said, dual listening project is shadowing the customer success calls. So what we did, so the first phase was really an exploratory phase. Within the team, we started listening at random calls from the customer success team. So we have a tool that's called Diabolocom, which is not the most common tool, I believe, for customer success. But every tool of customer success have the same basis, is that they are made to track the performance of the agents. So you have what we call closing codes or wrap-up codes, depending on the tool that you use. And these wrap-up codes are actually made to track what are the topics that were mentioned during the calls. And then they have other metrics like was the issue solved or anything, and you can also use them to deep dive on your topics. But what we did is that we took 1 hour per week, usually on the Friday because we have less meeting on the Friday. And we started listening at random calls. So some were super interesting, some were just random. And we started noting very manually, like, okay, I'm observing that, for example, all of our customers have an issue with this or that. All of the customers who call because they need to find something on their customer space, but they don't know how to access their customer space. So it was really random. And then we started creating a template for the notes to really regroup, share them with the rest of the teams, start analyzing the feedbacks, and really make something of it. And we started onboarding our stakeholders with a process because we knew that having this exploratory process is super interesting because you can deep dive. I mean, you can uncover insights super easily, but it's not very scalable. It's not very impactful. So it's more like something that you can do for you, for your personal culture, like who are my customers. Something can really strike you, like for example, for us, I believe that the average age for the what we call the units, so the employees at Younited is around 35. Our customers are 50 years old plus. So we don't face the same challenge when we talk about only online digital financial loans. They don't have the same references that we have. So this is something that you can really understand super quickly just by listening to calls, no matter the topic. So what we did, second phase, that we started talking to the units, the product managers, to really understand what were the biggest issues that they were facing for the upcoming months. And we selected one that was feasible in terms of shadowing the customer calls. So basically one that had wrap-up codes affected to it or close to it, with enough volume to listen to the calls weekly. So we checked this with the business units, and then we decided which topics we were going to work on. And we also onboarded our stakeholders by creating a duo. So one user researcher, one stakeholder, so PM, business analyst. We also had some brand managers who did it. So this duo, once a week, every Friday, each of them individually, they listen to, I would say, 20, 25 calls, depending on the length of the calls. And they reported everything on the template for the feedbacks. And then at the end of the month, they built the report. So we also have a template for the reports. I will share it with you later, which was on Confluence and now is on Notion. And the stakeholders needed to list all of the actions that they were going to take based on all of the insights that they uncover. So really how it helped them on this specific topic.
And so quick question for you, Lise, just to be specific. So you guys booked like an hour long meeting in your agenda.
Yes.
To listen to record. It was recording calls, right?
Yes, it's a record. So what we have in our tools is that we have 7 days archives. So we listen to the calls of the week. And the meeting on every Friday, it's only a reminder because you can do it on your side. It's just a reminder for our stakeholders to do it because they are not used to do it. So
Okay,
just
cool.
the tips. It's nice to have a reminder in your calendar.
Cool, thanks.
And then the last step was to communicate the results and the insights to everyone at Younited. So what we have on our side is a monthly newsletter that we share with all of the employees, where we list all of the topics that we worked on the past month. Usually we try to find an angle. So for example, I'm going to share with you afterwards the topic that we worked on that's called self-care. So every action that the customers can do on their side without needing to call the customer success team by doing so in their customer space. So we had, for example, a monthly newsletter dedicated to this. So we did classical research on this. We did dual listening on this. So the newsletter was really about self-care. So all of the reports on the dual listenings are shared every month in this newsletter. If you have any questions, we can take them now. Otherwise, I'm going to share with you the templates for the notes and for the reports.
Yes, let's pause here a bit. Do you guys have any question about the journey Younited teams have about this project, about this dual listening project to kind of replace or compete user research activities? Do not hesitate to open your mic and come with us. No question? Okay.
Okay, so maybe just before sharing with you the templates, what I can say is that this process is not meant to replace user research. It's really a way to uncover the insights super quickly when you don't have time and you don't have money. It's just to leverage the material that you already have, and it can be done conjointly. I don't know if I can say this with user research, because you already have a lot of insights, and you know where to dig. Based on this, it's a super quick insights, quick win, I would say, for insights. And it's not only for B2C, because I talked a lot about B2C, but it's also something that we want to do with our sales from the B2B, for the B2B team. So we have a partnership team that works with some big clients in a lot of areas of B2B. And we want to be able to centralize and share all of the info and the insights that the sales have individually, thanks to the calls that they have with their prospects and their clients, and make sure that we centralize everything to create a common base, and to see if we can leverage these inputs.
Okay, so this is part of the project. You started with the customer success team, and now you are able to explore wider solutions, and so go to the sales team as well.
Yes.
Cool. We have a question from Emily as well. Do you have a way to scale user research, such as automation or something?
Yeah. So can you explain maybe, Emily, what you put behind the term automation?
Yes, I can. I'm in internship right now, and one of my projects is to scale user research as a PM. And I was wondering if you have kind of open process with all your insights. I don't know, maybe put tags or have a good practice to share.
Yes, sure. I can share with you some examples, but let me know if that's relevant for you. When we do user interviews, we use a tool that's called Dovetail, that maybe all of you know. So what Dovetail does is that you import your recording of the user interview, and the tool analyzes and transcripts everything, and then you can put your tags manually. But it's really a time-saving tool. What we also have, it's not related to user research as such, but it can be interesting for you, is that we have a tool that collects and analyzes all of the feedbacks that we get from our Trustpilot, satisfaction surveys, all of these. That's called Chattermill. I can write it down in the chat afterwards. To leverage all of the insights that come from these sources without having to manually analyze each of the sources. And then if you really have no budget, which sometimes is the case, what I can suggest is that you create templates with key questions. I'm going to share, for example, a template for the reports. You have the three questions were who, what, why, for the user research, and you need to, if you want to scale, because if I understand correctly, your issue is that you need to run more research faster. when we say scale, usually
Yes, exactly.
it's the problem that we have. So use the templates. Use the templates, create, it's a bit time consuming at the beginning because you need to create them, but you have a lot of resources online that you can use and that you can just start by using, and then you'll see if you need to upgrade them to make them fit your needs better. But templates are super cool because you don't lose time in reporting by trying to recreate something every time.
Okay. Can you repeat just the name of the first tool you talked about, please?
Yes, so it's Dovetail. Let me just write it down.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay.
Okay, so I think we don't have any other questions for the moment. Don't hesitate, guys, to come on stage with us if any need, or we can jump on the next part.
Yeah, okay. So super quickly, I wanted to share with you the templates that we have, and you can also use them actually for other user research projects that you have, because it's always a good way to centralize all of the info. So it's a bit like a user mapping, but not so much. So this is the templates that everyone uses to take notes. So the date, the researcher, who took the notes, etc. We also mentioned the tracking code of the call, if it's B2B, B2C, what type of product is concerned by this call. And then we start summarizing the issue. So, for example, for you, Emily, that we use very often is this sentence: as a user, I want to because I need X. So you start already analyzing and summarizing all of the insights that you have. And then all of these guidelines, actually, they are made for our PMs, for stakeholders who are going to do the dual listening with us and who don't know how to do it, where to start. We like to add an emotional level to these notes because we believe that sometimes people can be super frustrated, super angry, but also it can be like a nice call with people who are not angry at all, but you have like tons of customers who are facing the same issue. So it's also a way to prioritize the topics that you are going to work on. It's either you have a small number of people who are super angry or super frustrated with one problem, so you need to fix it, or you have a lot of customers who are facing the same issue, but it's not such a big deal for them, but it's like 90% of your customers. So it's also a way to prioritize. Then we write down the most important sentences, the most important verbatims. And we also have a room for notes if we want to add some personal comments. For example, sometimes we add things like the way that we answer to these customers with our customer success process doesn't look like it's the best way to do so, because we sometimes feel like the customers are not super satisfied with the response, or they don't know what to do next. So sometimes it's good to also take this kind of notes because it can benefit to the customer success teams, for example.
Cool. And quick question for you, Lise. What is the average time you spend for each recording? So the recording plus the note taking, how many minutes or like how long?
It's 1 hour and a half for all of this.
For one recording, right?
No, for the recording for the weeks.
Oh yeah, so for a 20-ish recording.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 1 hour and a half per week. And you can make it 30 minutes if you want, because you can just listen to less calls, but we like to take time. So 1 hour and a half to listen to the calls and write down the notes.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay. And then I'm going to share with you a template for a report. Alors, let me just put this on. Can you see my screen?
We still see your presentation for the moment.
Ah, ok. Alors. So it should be good. Okay, cool. So this is the template that we use for the report that our stakeholders use as well. So we like to organize the findings in key findings because we don't want the report to be too heavy or to be only verbatim because we don't think it's super impactful to do it. So like, yeah, we have 5 finding stops. And inside each finding, you will find 1 or 2 key verbatim that really sums up the idea and the topic. And then we have additional information to give more context on this. And the stakeholder and the PMs, they write down the suggestions. So basically, what we think we should do based on this issue. And this is something that we do for each of the findings, and then we do it globally. So you can't see it here, I believe, but it's at the beginning when we say the focus of the month. So, for example, this is for the month of May. We summarize all of the suggestions, all of the key findings, and we really sum up the next steps and the action that we want to take based on these findings.
And so about the process, so you guys, like you analyze, you listening to the 20-ish recording every week. Do you do that in a duo, being in the same room, or do you dispatch the recordings between you and the product managers, for example, or?
So what we do, because we have a 7-day span of archives, so we don't do it in the same room. We are on Friday. Most of us are in remote. What we do is that one of the two who is doing the calls will listen to the first 3 days of the week, and the other one will listen to the last 2 days of the week.
Okay, right. And so then you have a kind of a backlog of X notes for each recording, and do you make the most important findings, right? Or?
Yes. So all of these documents are shared with our stakeholders. So when we fill it, they can see it, and vice versa. So at the end of the month, we have a meeting with them to start summarizing all of the info. Most of the time, we already know what we want to talk about because it's always very straightforward. But it's mostly to discuss the next steps and the actions that we need to regroup with them.
Right.
And these reports are also shared. So we start working on something, and they add the suggestions, they add their findings, and basically what we like to do is that we also split the findings so that the stakeholder will work on 1, 2, or 3 findings, and the user researcher will do so as well, so that we really split the work.
Okay, cool. And so you store all these findings on Confluence, right?
Yeah, so we are migrating to Notion.
Okay.
So it will be on Notion very soon, but yeah, all of these are accessible by everyone at the company at any time.
Okay, cool. And so what happened about the suggestions? So how do the PMs use the suggestions at the end or after the sessions?
Yeah, so sometimes during the month, decisions have already been taken because we have like a big issue. For example, we observe that we have a drop on certain part of the funnel, and we want to see if people are calling us to talk about it. So sometimes the decision have already been taken, and the suggestions are more what we did. or what we're doing. Sometimes, like the project I'm going to share with you guys afterwards, it's currently ongoing. So we say, okay, we are going to prioritize this, and this will not be prioritized because we see it's not a big issue for the users. So the project I wanted to talk to you is the self-care project. So basically, as a customer, I want to be able to do certain actions within my customer space. So what we did is that with the head of the solution of user engagement, which is called Caroline, we did a first analysis just of the wrap-up codes of all of these topics that are covered by self-care. So any action that we believe that the users should be able to do individually, directly in their customer space. And we just by analyzing the volume of the wrap-up codes, you already have an idea of which one is priority. And then we started to really deep dive because we had some questions. For example, for the late payments, we want to know if people want to change their bank account number, or do they want to pay by card. So these two options need development. So we needed to really understand which one we should do first, or is there one of the two options that we shouldn't do at all. So listening to all of the calls from the customer service was really super helpful because we could prioritize, understand these topics, and these topics that each of them, I believe we had like 7 or 8 self-care ideas. So each of them would have taken a lot of time doing research with the traditional user interviews, questionnaires, etc. And just by listening to the calls, we had already a good idea of what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And currently, most of these ideas are on build.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you. We have a question about the migration from Confluence to Notion from Irina. The question is, why do you guys do that migration from Confluence to Notion?
So it's really a company decision. Notion is easier to use, I believe, for all of the documentation. And so the product team decided to move collectively to Notion. I personally also believe that Notion is easier to use for everyone. And the only issue that we had with Notion is that you cannot track all of if you have tickets, because we do have tickets of requests for user research. We had them on Jira, which is the same suite as Confluence. But now Notion has integrated this feature, so we are fully integrated in Notion. I suggest that you use Notion. I don't know about the pricing, but I think that Notion is cheaper than Confluence as well. But yeah, I suggest that you use Notion if you're hesitating.
Cool, thank you. Okay, so we have some time left. We have 10 minutes, guys, to take your questions. Please don't hesitate. Related to this topic, or maybe like about user research, doing user research when you're a PM, product manager, product designer, don't hesitate. It's your time. And waiting for your questions, guys. I actually have one for you, Lise. For this project, you guys are using call recordings to find user insights. Are you using different or other type of sources to find these insights coming from different teams? So here I'm talking, for example, about tickets from the customer success team, or reviews, things like that. Do you also use this type of sources, or exclusively mainly the call recordings?
Yes, so another type of source that we have at our disposal is the reviews that we have on Trustpilot. So Younited started, I believe it was 10 years ago. We are live in 5 countries. So we have a lot, like really a lot of reviews on Trustpilot. I think around 50,000, something like that. So we actually started working with a tool that's called Chattermill that I mentioned a bit earlier. So it's a speech analytics tool that centralizes all of the reviews, creates categories for you, and also makes an analysis of all of these reviews. So it's another way to leverage insights without running some traditional research. Because based on this, we see that we can have like topics that are emerging 1 month after another, creating satisfaction or dissatisfaction. So we know that, for example, for product marketing, all of the topics that are emerging and creating satisfaction, we can push them in marketing. And at the less positive the less positive is that we have topics that are trending negatively, and we know that, for example, customer service needs to work on this, or product team needs to work on something. So it's another way to leverage insights.
Cool. And do you guys have settled like ritual or like meetings dedicated to review Chattermill analysis, this type of thing, to then distribute who needs to do what to
Yeah. So same as the dual listening, we have monthly reporting on this. We are working with the brand managers on this, so they are helping us each for their countries. They are working on the reports because they know what's up in their countries, what happened in the past month. And we are just implementing this process, so we'll see how it goes on the next step and actions and decisions that need to be taken. I mean, based on the topics that were raised, it would be either product team or other teams. So we will see how it goes.
Cool, thanks. We have a question from Thomas. Thomas is asking if you are still running traditional user interviews, and if yes, what is the motivation behind that?
Yeah, so we do a lot of user interviews. So this is very complementary with the dual listening. So the first reason, and it's also a limit to the dual listening, is that you cannot have all of the topics in the customer success calls. For example, we are launching a new feature very soon. This is new, so none of our clients are calling us to talk about it. We did some exploratory interviews. We did some usability testings for this new feature. So yes, we still do a lot of research.
Cool, thank you. Okay, we have like 6 minutes left, guys. Do you have a question? How do you feel about that? I'm curious if you guys are using this type of way of working, this type of way to collect insights from your users, or was it the first time for you to hear that, or do you want to test it one day? No one want to come with us? You're shy. Okay, cool. I see Clémence is typing. Clémence, if you want to just come on stage, don't hesitate to ask a question or your remark.
Yes, thank you. It was very interesting. We are actually on our side trying to read like kind of the user support requests we are getting, but we are getting hundreds every day, so it's hard to prioritize and to read the good one. We noticed some main challenge and topics, so these ones are easy to gather, but we are trying to find a way, like to say, okay, we're going to analyze 1 week. 1 week was too big, so we are going to try 1 day, but it's always the time management on that is hard. So easier thing is that it's text, it's emails, or so it's easier to manage than listening.
Okay, cool. So do you already have like templates and everything for the analysis, or are you just running this manually?
What we do is like we're looking at the mailbox on which we have all the support requests, and we have a list of teams, and we are just kind of analyzing the volume. So basically, if we have complaints on document, we'll add +1 on document. So this thing is very manual for now, but it's just enable to know in a set of support requests what is the ratio of complaints. So we
Okay.
also added in the system like a case type so that we can have analysis on it, but it depends if the agent feel it. So it's a bit, the figure is not, it's reliable, but it depends on the fulfilling of the agent. So we're
Yeah.
not really sure we can rely on it.
Yeah, okay. On this, maybe something that you can do is that you can write down all of the keywords that you have for one topic, for example, just to do an export at the end of the week or at the end of the month of all of the text, and you just uh, do a search on all of the keywords that you have. It's not perfect because you're going to miss some things, but at least you will have a good idea of the volumes if you want to have a quicker analysis. And I believe that sometimes when you read like 10 reviews or 10 conversations that are on the same topic, you always see the same things coming over and over because you don't have like 100 of different issues that your customer face on one specific topic. So this can maybe help you save time. And also what I did when I didn't have the budget for Chattermill to take them a premium level, they have a free version as well. And there are a lot of tools that are willing to test because speech analytics is really developing right now. So there are a lot of tools that are willing to test with you free of charge their tool to see if their AI is well trained. So you can also try to look at those because this is what we did as well at the beginning to prove the value of having such a tool.
And you use Chattermill for that? That's the one
Yes.
you use?
So they have a free version, and I think they have a limit of volume of reviews that you cannot. So you cannot expand it to all of your reviews, maybe. But if you don't have like a lot of reviews, or if it's still under the limit, you can use it freely. And also we tested this tool with this method with another tool, but I don't remember the name. But if you look at speech analytics, review analytics, you'll see that there are a lot of tools that have free versions.
Cool. Thank you for your question, Clémence. Thank you for your answer, Lise. Hope it helps. We have 1 minute left, and we have 2 requests from Irina. First thing, maybe we can just share back your screen, Lise, if you agree, to share the template. So, guys, maybe you can just take a screenshot and test it, because Irina would like to test it, try it out. So that's great. And Irina has a question. Do you, Lise, have a tips to be efficient when you sum up written exchange? So, for example, exchange coming from the customer support. Do you have any tips to summarize the exchange?
To be efficient, so you mean be fast, right? Be super quick.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so what I can suggest, so you mentioned written, right, Irina, not on codes.
Yes, it's written. Yes.
Okay. So I mean the tips that I gave to Clémence, I think it was Clémence, is still valid for you. Is if you have some keywords, you can really try to highlight them super quickly based on the topic that you're working on. You can also highlight all of the keywords that are related to emotions. When people have like tons of question marks, a lot of punctuation, it's always a sign that they are super frustrated, or their cat sat on the on the computer. Most of the time, it's because they are angry with you. So I would suggest you start by doing this. And actually, when I was doing a lot of analysis of transcripts and interviews, what I did is that I used to cut in pieces the reviews to really take on only the most important topics. So I will start with having like 10 different little topics. Then I regrouped them to 3 main topics. Then I regroup them to one main topic. And if you do this at the beginning, then you will see that you will gain a lot of time for the following feedbacks that you will analyze, because you will already have the structure of the analysis in place in your head and in your file, and you will be more efficient for the next reviews. I think that the most time consuming when you do this is structuring the analysis. So it's a bit time consuming at the beginning, but then you are super fast.
Hope it helps you, Irina. Cool. Okay, so guys, thank you so much. Lise, I want to thank you so much for this talk. I loved it. You'll be able to find the recording on the Panache website pretty soon, guys, by the end of the week. Thank you again for your time. I love the discussion. I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you all a very good evening, guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Roxanne, for the invite.
Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.